It's the Billy Revolution. It's up to you. Billy Revolution. Here's what you gotta do. The Billy Revolution. A quadrilateral grow. Under your chin, not in the center though. Cause it's the Billy Revolution. It's the Billy Revolution. It's the Billy Revolution. Billy Revolution. Welcome to week 5. Hard to believe we made it this far. To the Billy Revolution. This week's show is the litigation show. Watch out, or I'm going to sue you. You have been watching the show? You're going to get sued, buddy. Oh, you've been writing nasty comments? Well, I'm going to sue you for defamation of character. I'm coming to get you. You better be paranoid, neurotic, and anxious. In fact, you better not do anything at all except sit in front of your screen, consuming content. Litigious society. There's a variety of societies that have different levels of litigation in them. I think when we talk about a litigious society, people often are talking about a society where there's a lot of people suing people. And my definition of a litigious society is slightly different than that, but it follows the same principle, follows the same lines. Mine is a society where people are worried about people suing them, where they have an accident and the first thing they think is, I wonder how much money I get from this. And this litigious society is slightly different because it only is a attitude that is problematic. There may be very few people suing people for things. Now, we all know the famous stories, like the person who sued someone for having stuff in their way when they broke into their house and they tripped over it, or the people who sued for coffee being too hot at one of those famous restaurants that we all love to hate. So those stories, circulated often from the United States of America. But the litigious society that many other countries have is a society where it's not that there's so many people suing each other, it's that people are thinking in those terms. People are thinking about not taking personal responsibility for so much of their day-to-day life, including raising their children, including looking out for their own safety, etc. So one of the things I want to suggest today that we all do is write to our members of parliament, federal parliament, write to our MPs and tell them that we want a stuff happens rule. It used to have another name that's less appropriate for all the different viewers we have. Stuff happens. And the stuff happens law, very hard to get lawyers to write laws to minimize litigation, unfortunately. But the stuff happens law basically just states that people are responsible for themselves and unfortunate incidents happen. And when there's not negligence on the part of anyone, people really shouldn't be allowed to go sue. And I think that it would go a long way to freeing up some much needed place in our courtrooms, but more importantly, some much needed space up in our heads, where we've got all these money issues plaguing so many of us. How we can get or safety issues. There will be a show on safety soon, and that again is another sort of neuroses of the culture that I'm participating in. So a litigious society, we could change that way of thinking and we could become less fearful. I know people say that people are brave to have teenagers over at their house on a Friday night. People are brave to drive people places. I mean, and we use brave in such a sad way compared to when we think about true acts of bravery that have happened throughout the history of the world. It isn't brave to have 10 teenagers over your house on a Friday night, and no one should be saying it is. Just like it's not brave to be driving people to a birthday party. So the fact that so many people use those wording helps to create a sort of paranoid society. Now, the paranoia and the anxiety-ridden society that we live in has not only to do with litigation, but it does have to do with this litigious sentiment that people have. This sense that if something goes awry, someone is going to sue you. And I think that we want to be motivated by things besides people suing us. And I think we should be thinking about taking ownership of the happenstance that is bound to cross any of our paths. So please do write your MP. Tell your MP that you want a law that limits the amount of litigation that can go on, so that judges aren't plagued with making these big rulings about how much this arm is worth or this smile. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope that you have a great week, a week without suing anyone. You and I are quite alike. You drove your car, baby. I brought my bike. You know that it is such a funny game when we pretend we're just the same. Is doing some research on some social issues that she thinks are very important. She's been going to some conferences. She's been doing readings. She's been discussing with her friends. And she's working towards finishing an important paper on one of the social conditions she finds the most important. Doug has been turning play record on a computer and nattering into it. They're doing the same thing. It's the Billy Revolution. It's up to you. Billy Revolution is what you gotta do. The Billy Revolution, a quadrilateral grow under your chin, not in the center though, 'cause it's the Billy Revolution. It's the Billy Revolution. It's the Billy Revolution. Billy Revolution.